Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another exciting episode of DPX Live. Once again, and as always, I appreciate you tuning in and taking time out of your day to watch and interact with each of my shows. If you haven't done so already, click the share button. Let everyone know the show is going on because we got an exciting show for you. If you love everything about LOE Psychiatric Hospital and tons of evidence review, then today is the show you're not going to want to miss. For today's show, I have a video and audio evidence to share to you. I have enhanced a lot of the audio, and I've also enhanced a lot of the videos, but I've also included each clip to have the raw video feed with it. My recommendation for today's show, though, is to have earphones handy because a lot of the audio you're really going to want to listen to. Before I introduce today's guest, I want to dive into the evidence. Let me tell you about an amazing opportunity my group DPX did over the weekend. We were invited to participate at Comic-Con. Todd Bonner, Jeff Atkins led 3 one-hour discussions about our group along with some of the evidence we captured. I also got to meet one of my favorite cartoon voiceovers, Carlos, who's actually the voiceover for Rocko's Modern Life. Quick thing about him too is he is the character in Reno 911 for Deputy Garcia, and he's also the voiceover for the Taco Bell dog that was years ago, the Yo Quiero Taco Bell. So a few things I didn't know about him, so it was pretty cool. Lauren was also with me that day. She stood in a very long line to meet Matthew Lewis, who, if you don't know who he is, he's Neville Longbottom in the Harry Potter franchise. Also got to meet the artist for one of the cartoons that I also really like, which is King of the Hill. So all in all, successful weekend for me, and for our group as well. So DPX has created a subscription tab on our Facebook page. Once you click that tab, it will bring you directly to our website, and you can subscribe to our group. It's fast and easy. Once you subscribe, you'll be able to know about future events to include Eloise. Our Facebook page is Detroit Paranormal Expeditions, and our website is DetroitParanormalExpeditions.com. We are also on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Okay, so now on to the show. Today's guest is someone who I've investigated with several times now, and each time we investigate together, it gets better and better. I would normally do an introduction for him, but I'm going to let him introduce himself. So without further ado, Adam.
Well, thank you, Joe. Appreciate you inviting me to the show today. I've been looking forward to this because of what we're going to get into in a little bit.
Absolutely.
But for those that don't know me, my name's Adam Wcislek. I'm also referred to as the Black Swamp Medium. I've been doing the mediumship and investigation since 2012. And it's been pretty much a passion. I don't even look at this as a hobby or just,
Absolutely.
This is, I'm digging in. I want to find out what's going on. So, I belong to a team called SWPI, which is Spirit World Paranormal Investigations. We have a location that we do, much like what you and DPX do. Ours is the Old Mill Museum in Dundee, Michigan. So if you guys are looking for more information, we'll give that to you a little bit later. But we do a lot of private and public investigations as well as a Parafest that's coming up in November. So, but other than that, yeah, I mean, I enjoy what I do. But again, like I said, I did psychic medium. I'm a remote viewer. I also do healing. I do musician stuff where I play Native American flutes, so that way people that are stressed or have issues, I'm able to, play this, music for them and things like that, so that calms them down and makes them feel a lot better. So, yeah, that's kind of me in a nutshell in a really fast way, but,
Good introduction.
Right.
I couldn't do it, so I'm going to let you do it. So, all right. So once again, I want to thank you for traveling such a long distance. I know you hit the great Michigan roads of traffic and accidents and rain, and might as well throw hail and snow in there too. Took you a while to get here, but glad you made it. Adam is my first in-studio guest, so I'm really excited about today's episode. It's going to be a lot of fun. So for the viewers who do not know, what's some of the highlights about your paranormal career, I guess you can say?
The first time I ever investigated was in 2012, and that was the Old Mill. Mm-hmm. And, I had my father actually, was a musician like myself, and he was playing at the Old Mill for an event. And he just happened to see these little flyers that said, hey, ghost hunt, here. So we immediately were, because we watched the shows and things for years since, the original shows, started airing. But we just fell in love with it. We've been wanting to find a location that did that. And so, sure enough, in 2012, we ended up signing up at the Old Mill. And that's when I met SWPI. And from there, so this was April. from April to December, I showed up 5 times because I couldn't get enough of the place.
You're like me with Eloise.
You're right. You just can't get enough of it, and it grabs you, and you just don't want to leave because you want to see what else you're going to find next. And so that was my passion. And what was neat was, because I kept showing up so much and I became great friends with SWPI, they March of the next year, they ended up just kind of absorbing me into the team. So I never even got a true official, like, hey, we want you to join. Aboard. I started getting text messages, and I thought that was kind of weird, but I'm thinking, oh, that's nice of them, and then realized that I was a part of the team. So it was a cool way.
Just come back, and then you're there.
Yep, and so, I've dug in. So, I mean, yeah, we've done a whole lot. So, I mean, it's, our old mills, we have a lot of investigations, and our one of our big things is our Old Mill Parafest, which is on November 9th. So if you guys are interested, a lot of tickets. And I'm actually got voted in to present and speak. Wow, okay. So that's I'm kind of excited to do that. Usually we're hosting, which we are, but I'm going to take a little time away and do, talk about some things. So
for the viewers out there, we do have some evidence from the Old Mill that you and I actually were together and captured. So we're going to go over that at the end of the show.
Yep.
So I know I talk a lot about Eloise, and that's the majority of what today's show is going to be. So for the viewers that are watching that don't know a lot about Eloise besides what we bring in here on the show, a quick little history of it. Eloise Psychiatric Hospital was a large complex located in Westland, Michigan. It was named after Eloise Dickerson Davok, the daughter of Detroit's postmaster. It operated from 1839 to 1982, starting out as a poorhouse and farm, eventually turning into an asylum, a sanitarium, and a hospital. In 1832, it was called Wayne County Poorhouse. In 1886, it was changed to Wayne County House. In 1913, they moved it to have 3 divisions, which was the Eloise Hospital, which is the mental ward, Eloise Infirmary, which was the poorhouse, and Eloise Sanatorium, which was the tuberculosis hospital. In 1945, it was named Wayne County General Hospital and Infirmary at Eloise. And finally, in 1979, it was officially called Wayne County General, with the psychiatric division closing in 1982. Eloise in its prime consisted of 78 buildings over 902 acres. It actually had its own zip code with its own post office. It had 10,000 patients along with 2,000 staff. Fortunately, as of today, only a few buildings stand of the 78. The firehouse, the power plant, the commissary, and D building are all still erected, while the bakery was a victim of arson not too long ago. So D building is where we're going to be focusing our show today. Adam and his group had the privilege to investigate an entire night. We gave them the building. I cooked them a bunch of food, and it was extremely cold. It was actually the night we did the live feed in the power plant, I believe.
Right. Yes.
It definitely was a interesting experience because I got to do a little bit with them that night, but not much because I wanted to let them do their own thing. But tell the viewers a little bit about that night for us.
Yeah, well, like Joe said, it was cold. For the first few hours, it wasn't so bad. It actually, fast forward to the end, it wasn't until like the last hour that it really finally started, I think, affecting us all. But for the most part, we just bundled up and you walked around, but that's what you do. I mean, you got an opportunity, you don't waste it type of thing. So, but, when we did a little bit of the walkthrough and things like that, got a few things. I was picking up on stuff, which was kind of cool. When we finally then got turned loose, we started out in the basement area, and so we were down by the kitchen area and things like that. And so one of the neat things was just I finally started feeling things starting to move around because during the tour it wasn't so much. It seemed a little quiet. But at least by the kitchen and things, we started getting some activity, and you'll see some. Yep. You guys will see some stuff here in a
yes,
little bit.
Definitely.
But even then, overall, it was interesting because you hear some stories, and part of it I said, I don't want to know a lot, and so I remember telling Joe and DPX, I said, don't tell me too many things. You can tell the rest of our team that was there, but I said, keep me, cold, because it's, what a lot of us mediums want to do. We want to go in cold, and so I didn't know a lot. And as the night, went on, we got into it, and we're running around and checking things out. It was quiet for a lot of it, and and I did hear the place was active. I mean, there was a lot of things. I mean, I've heard great stories, and I'm like, man, and sure enough, it was just little things here and there. So it was like, okay, but I looked at it like this. I'm like, I know I'll be back. Yep. There's no way I'm not going to be back at some point. So,
well, I could probably tell you, and Brandy, I know you're watching, and hello to everyone that's commenting. We got a lot of people commenting. I'll try to give some shout outs here in a little bit. But I know Gina Marie's on there. Donnie's on there. saw some other names, but some of them, came to Eloise the first time. And Eloise is one of those places that it slowly brings you in. It just gives you a little bit of a taste in the beginning, and then when it gets familiar with you, it becomes more and more active, which you found out yourself.
Right.
So, it doesn't surprise me that you guys had little things happen that night, but it was a little bit to want you to bring you back in.
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing, happened to me my first time. I got just a tiny bit of evidence, and then the next time I got more and more and more, and then to the stuff we're going to talk about in a little bit. So it doesn't surprise me. Now, Adam sent me a clip because I asked him, send me some evidence that you guys captured in the basement. So he sent me a clip, and I was doing the show on my computers, and I got good earphones. I cranked the volume up. I'm just sitting there listening, and I'm trying to clip it a little bit to put it down, and I actually hear a voice in it. So I messaged him, and I said, I think I hear something, and it wasn't until today that he actually listened to it. So we're going to play the clip. It's kind of in the middle. I don't want to say exactly where it's at. If you don't hear it, we're going to... I don't have, unfortunately, the opportunity to play it again on this one because I forgot to do a repeat, but I'll post it later on. But let's watch the clip, and then we'll talk about it. All right? Oh. I got my buddy Tim as my producer today because Jaden's has his birthday, so just a minor glitch here. Top one, hit the yep. There
This
you
is
go.
an interesting moment. This shows how spirits can physically affect you. You notice I'm grabbing my chest because I'm feeling pain and I'm feeling short of breath, but I don't say anything to anyone.
The camera's right behind you, Jen. Walk forward or something. It's up to my hip. Are you standing next to us? Tall white guy. You're giving me chest pain?
Then Adam says this.
He's got fluid in his lungs. Dude, yeah, oh. Don't give me, I don't want to feel that. Chester?
All right, so awesome video clip. Tell us, for everyone to know, that is in the basement, and where that is in the basement is, I always feel like there's it's like a crossroad because it's the middle of the hallway. One side's the cafeteria, and then the other side's the kitchen, and it's super creepy down there. I always see, because I was sweeping one day, and I always felt like I was just being surrounded by everything. But what happened during that clip? What were you guys feeling, discussing about? Can you tell everybody?
Yeah. So, and just what Joe said about the whole thing of being surrounded, we got situated down there. We were grouped up. Some of the people were off camera that you didn't see, and then Brandon, who was who you saw in front of me, we were, like I said, we were just getting set up. So I mean, you can see I was moving the camera in a better position and things like that. Just before I moved that camera, you can actually hear me say, I definitely feel like we got some things moving around. I could actually feel the energy, rushing up behind us. And so that's when then, Brandon moves over to the side and he's kind of, starting to notice a few little things, especially like with his chest. And again, I was tapping in like I do, and that's why I started picking up on this, this taller, white male. And I was trying to get some information. I was, visually, I'm getting this, information. I'm looking at him, I'm seeing it, and finally, like, as I'm describing it, Brandon's noticing that, there's I think it was a cold spot next to him, and so he had our team member Jen run around. She felt it, and that's, when we heard a voice, which didn't hear at the time. And Joe, like I said, caught it because I missed it, and so we heard a little voice right there, which we thought was kind of cool.
Yeah, no, it's definitely interesting because he's talking about his chest hurting, and you're not even looking at him, so he's not even, you're not focusing on what he's doing, so you don't know that he's grabbing his chest. I know he says his chest hurts at one point, but I can see that you're channeled, and as soon as you said that, and then you said a name at the end too.
Yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head
what it was, but But the
Yeah.
voice, and what I want to tell a lot of people, because as we're going to go over the evidence, is Eloise there's nothing in there. So when you talk, you're going to hear echoes. You're going to know when people are talking versus stuff that's not talking. And a lot of this stuff, unless you got good earphones, you got the audio equipment that I downloaded on my computer and everything to enhance it. It's stuff that you're not going to hear, but when you do hear it, it just gives you chills. And I think I sent it to you before the show so you can look at it, and you even said it gave me chills.
Oh yeah.
So that place is absolutely amazing. What's some other experiences you guys had, or what was your favorite floor, I should say?
The favorite, well, and I know one that we really were we got a little bit, we were hoping for a little bit more, and I think it's 4th or 5th floor. There was Brandon, it's actually his grandmother, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that's
she
right.
had the one corner room of the building, and she didn't actually pass away there, but they moved her out just before that. But we thought, maybe because she did live there for quite some time, that she'd have some type of residual or just some energy left over. And sure enough, as we were in there, we did a couple lives on our pages, and I did pick up on her. It wasn't an intelligent, his grandmother wasn't intelligently there, but at least residually I could tell there was things that were unique. And I think I brought up a couple things during our lives that we were able to get back to Brandon's dad, and they were able to confirm a few things for us. So that was a kind of a cool moment for us, at least, back in March.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you say things like that, because I know we always get messages of I was born there, I've had someone pass away there, and then a lot of people on the tours actually know what rooms that people were in and stuff like that because they visited them as kids. So it's interesting when you can try to channel that kind of stuff into it. So I'm glad you guys had an awesome experience. But let's fast forward a little bit to our event now.
Shall we?
There's a bunch of people in the chat that were actually there. Now, this is probably one of the most interesting things that I've personally experienced, and because everything I'm going to show you and that I clipped is probably within less than a 10-minute period. A lot of strange things happened, and it all centered around the 2nd floor. And if you follow our page, it's in the same hallway where that figure was captured, where one of the guests, Faith Gerns, captured it. And I've always, since that photo was captured, we've focused a lot of our energy on that area. I've set up the SLS, I've set up the FLIR, and we've captured some stuff. I know some people have been affected. I've been scratched in that area. I know we've captured a few things on the EVP. But this situation in itself was interesting. So I'm just going to set it up for you a little bit here. I have the FLIR and the SLS camera set up side by side. And Adam was actually, I believe, on the 3rd floor, and I told him that I heard some stuff and I wanted him to come down. So he came down. He was standing in front of the FLIR and the SLS. I had a K2 meter over on the corner, so you can see the green dot. And we're asking for it to come out and whatnot. And let's just roll the clip because it's interesting, and then we can talk about it a little bit further.
This is an interesting moment. It shows how spirits can physically affect you.
Hold on 1 second. Technical.
You notice I'm grabbing my chest because I'm
Jen, don't
feeling
turn around.
pain and I'm feeling short of breath, but I don't say anything to anyone.
The camera's right behind you, Jeff.
There's a green little light on the windowsill. Can you go touch that and make the color change? You can do that through one of the offices. You don't have to come out in the hallway.
Kind of spirit at the other end of the hallway.
Ooh, something really big on the FLIR just came in. All right, so there's definitely something in there. I don't know if everyone saw it. If not, we're going to go back to a feature I haven't used in a while. So we're going to go over to the green screen. So I'm going to get up. I'm going to head over there. I'll be right back. All right, so this is very interesting because Adam's standing, and over here is where the K2 meter was. And at that point, I asked him, I said, hey, you need to, come out, or I said something to that nature. And he began to talk. And if you look at it, what's interesting about it, because I have it in slow-mo, it comes out, kind of goes towards his hand, shoots close to the camera right over here, and then goes completely off frame over here. So let's watch it one more time in slow motion. So it comes out, goes towards his hand, towards the camera, and beelines off. So that's something very interesting. That the FLIR is not something we normally capture stuff in. It's very rare. Adam, do you want to come up and talk about it?
Yeah, sure. So, like Joe said, as I was standing over there, I was, making the attempt to reach out and have them, grab on, or, anything that would, give us some sort of sign, energy, cold spot, whatever it was. And I do remember that there was a quick little feeling of something just prior to the that streak that you see running past my hand. So I remember reaching, and then I was like, wow, that's kind of wild. And then, that's when Joe, jumped in there and was like, what was that? So that was kind of cool, but it was neat to experience, because again, that's why we do this. We're trying to capture things, and it's neat to have that kind of, proof that we saw that, again, I was feeling the tension. They weren't really, grabbing on at that point, but they were starting to build up energy. And I think, we can talk just a little bit further, because there's some stuff that we don't see, that happened just after that as well.
Yeah. So that's and watch the bar. So I still have the video up right over there, because if you still want to watch it, it's very powerful, because that normally when I capture something on the FLIR, it's something coming straight down, and I'll show you in a little bit. By the way, your dad's here. You said hi.
Hey, what's up, Dad?
So, it's very interesting, and the way that pattern happens, where it comes out, it kind of disappears, comes forward, stops, because it literally stops for a second, and then goes straight off to the side. And the other thing I wanted, to mention about it is the actual, I'll call it texture of it. It wasn't circle. Right. It wasn't bug formed. It was actually like a paint splotch almost, and it still had substance around it, which was definitely cool. That hallway is just something else. So now, we're gonna fast forward a little bit here by only a few minutes.
Right.
So none of us had any idea this happened. This is what's kind of interesting. So like I said, the way I had it set up was my SLS. The FLIR right next to each other. So then when this happened, because the FLIR was going to die in a second, I ran up. I said, hey, you got to look at this. So I'm showing it to him, and then we had some guests from the tour come. So I walk behind the camera. All of us are behind the camera, and I'm watching the video, getting ready for the show again, and out of the corner of my eye, I see something just come in and out of view. And so I went back, I clipped it, and I kept looking at it, and it's actually the same consistency of what we call it on the FLIR, but it's in white form. And the strange thing about it, and we'll show the clip here in a second, is it actually comes from pure darkness. There's no flashlights. I have no IR lights on. I have no extra additional lighting. No one's cell phones were on. And we were back away, and where the iPad was if the camera's facing this way, the iPad was facing us, so there was nothing going there. But what's interesting about it, and if you watch it to the bottom right, it comes out of pure darkness, comes in front of the SLS, still has the same amount of lighting, and then does a 45-degree turn and beelines it off camera. And so, I sent it to him, but this is something not a lot of people have seen, because I just clipped it. So let's go ahead and watch it.
No, that's not a focus. But that pattern is neat, because that pattern right, and then you get a left or right, and then there's a weird vertical.
This is a slow-mo now.
That's not a focus. No, that's not. But that pattern is neat, because you get a left or right, and then there's a weird vertical.
Trying to get her attention. There's no doubt about it. I mean, that's what they do. I mean, sometimes it's that quick little flash, that quick little blip, or that little...
That's not a focus. No, that's not. But that pattern is neat, because you get a left or right, and then there's a weird vertical.
Where you can't see through it. That's my favorite, because that's harder to, say that's a dust or water droplet or any of those things. But when it's solid... That's
not a focus. No, that's not. But that pattern is neat, because you get a left or right, and then there's a weird vertical.
Unfortunately, sometimes that's all we get.
Brandy said, "Do you feel like that it was a woman?"
You know, there was.
That's not a bumper.
No, that's not. But that pattern is neat because you get a left or right, and then there's a weird vertical. I slid in the back of the hallway down the end.
You scared the girl because she's like, is someone down there?
Right.
We're like, yeah, Adam's down there. You know.
That's not a bumper.
No, that's not. But that pattern is neat because you get a left or right, and then there's a weird vertical.
I think she is. And Ken Boggle were there.
Yeah.
They said the exact same thing. This is why you guys were on the 3rd floor, and they felt like that it was.
That's not a bumper.
No, that's not. But that pattern is neat because you get a left or right, and then there's a weird vertical.
Hold on 1 second. Is there audio playing? All right, we should be all right.
That's not a bumper.
No, that's not. But that pattern is neat because you get a left or right, and then there's a weird vertical. So we thought, because we weren't getting as much in the little things that we did get, we just didn't know how much we were grabbing at that point. So that's why when I went down there, I told Joe, I said, let me go down there. And then those girls stood in front of the camera for a little bit just to see if they got anything. And, like I said, I was getting some, I know I got a male in the one room on the one side. And then as I started moving forward more, I know I caught a female on the right side. So, they were, as funny was they were hiding, and then they would just pop out real quickly, get just a tiny little bit of information, and then finally they would, disappear on me. So they weren't there to communicate a lot, but it's just like they just got my attention, got a good, quick little visual of them, and then they disappeared again. So
Yeah. So I think we're having a few audio issues. So to get rid of that, we're gonna go to the green screen again because I'm gonna talk about it a little bit more. All right, I think we got rid of it. Power of technology.
That's right.
Try to get everything right when things happen. So, here's the clip again. I enlarged it. Like I said, what I wanted to point out is this is all pure darkness right here. And when you watch it coming, because I have it going super slow right now, it literally comes out of pure darkness. There's no light, there's no nothing. And you need to unmute me. There you go. So again, it comes out of pure darkness, and it comes. And what's like I said, what's weird about it is there's zero light source that's coming this way. So when you see it, and I'm going to step back and not point at it, it's coming from more of up here. And I got it going super slow right now.
There it goes.
And it comes in, and then it slows down, and then it literally just goes back. I mean, it's crazy, what it is. And, I blew the picture up a little bit, so I got a picture of it that I want to show real quick. And, like I said, it's like a paint blotch, and that's exactly what, the same thing that we caught on the FLIR was, just this thing that just smushed against the thing, the camera. And like I said, there's zero light source. Even this right here, there's no light source around it whatsoever. It's just there. Do you want to come up and talk about it a little bit more?
And I think what's interesting is, a lot of the shows have seen these type of things where you get these weird anomalies. I mean, if you really want to call it for something. I mean, granted, yeah, it doesn't have a human type of form, but it's an energy. What type of energy it is, obviously we weren't like touching and grabbing that right at that moment, but like I said, we've seen these, a lot of the shows have captured anomalies like this, and they've seen them pop in there. Sometimes it's just, an infrared, sometimes it is, but the FLIR doesn't really, get this kind of, wispy, sort of see-through-ish kind of material, but yeah, I mean, again, a lot of people have captured things like this, and again, we've seen it on TV several times. So,
Yeah,
good capture.
Yeah, and we can stay up here
Yeah.
if you want. I'll go to the other side. We'll do a double green screen. So, like I said, this is what I wanted to point out. Was just the whole, there's no consistency to this whatsoever. It's just, it's not bug form. It's not a dust bunny.
Right.
It's not one of the little cotton things. I'm not really sure what those are called, but the little things that go around during the springtime.
Yep.
And it has its own light source. It has its own energy.
Yep.
Like Brandy said, that it is energy.
Yeah.
And even like right over here, that's in pure darkness. There's
Yeah.
no light there whatsoever. So to get it on the FLIR and then less than 3 minutes later, don't bring it up. But then that's also what's going to bring us to our next piece, because all of this is actually relating to each other. Like I said, this sequence of events for me was probably one of the most amazing things that I've ever experienced. And going back and reviewing it, and then we captured some audio. So let's talk about the next one real quick.
In the spirit at the other end of the hallway. For something really. That's not a bumper.
No, that's not. But that pattern is neat because you get a left or right, and then there's a weird vertical.
Sorry, we're working on it here. All right, so Tim's working on it. he just So we'll play the video clip real quick, and then we'll talk about it. Can you come out in the hallway? That's the front door. I think. Yeah.
Jesus, twice.
Is that the front door?
That sounded like below us.
Shut the front door.
All right. So, lucky for you, I have the audio clip, so we're gonna play it again and again, because this is probably one of my favorite pieces of evidence that we captured, and I didn't even realize I captured it till I went back and later on and reviewed it, and I only listened to it on the iPad and then it dawned on me, I'm like, I had my camera recording, so then I listened to it on the camera, and then I captured even more. So just to put it into perspective a little bit, when we do our tours and you come, and I always give people an opportunity to engage and be part of the investigation. So by doing so, I tell them, go in front of the the SLS, and I'll map you, take pictures, or try to get something, and sometimes things come out, so it's good evidence. Yeah. So she went out and did it, and this was probably 2 minutes after we captured that energy thing coming out. And to paint the picture a little bit, right below us, and this is what Gina Marie, when she was there, told us, was that there's a room, and that room there has a walk-in safe, and it has a really heavy door. The door itself is actually rusted, so it doesn't shut all the way, per se, but it's really heavy. She said this room was used for intake, where they would take patients' clothing away, their property away, their everything away, and put it in the safe. Right. Well, while we were up there, we heard first we heard a large slam on the door, which I immediately said, oh, that's the front door, because a few times that we've investigated, near the front entrance where you would come in for the tours, it sounded almost like that. And I'm like, yeah, it's that. And then I'm like, no, that can't be. And after I said, the front door, no, it can't be, I hear a woman really low going, no. And then right after that, it sounds like a male saying, what is that? Mm-hmm. And then right after that, the door slams again. Uh-huh. And it was such a hard slam of the door that the floor actually vibrated. The walls were shaking a little bit. It wasn't an easy slam or anything like that. So,
yeah.
What's your take?
Well, and that's the thing is, like, you guys can hear me. I make a comment after the second one. I was like, Jesus, twice? Because it just seemed odd to be that. I mean, there's a few seconds in between it, but it just was like, who's slamming the door so hard? Because that second one really got our attention, because I remember feeling that through my feet, and I was just like, are you serious right now? But we were just all blown away by it. But I was like, we got to figure something out.
Because we actually finished up there because it was towards the end of the night, and you and I were actually walking down the first floor because we went down the south stairwell, and we were walking back towards where the group met up, or the tour, and I was halfway down, and I just turned around and started walking. I'm like, follow me. Yeah. And you're like, what? I go, no, follow me. I figured out what it was, because at that point, I didn't know what it was, but it just dawned on me just out of the blue. We both went in the room, and I got chills as soon as I went in. I don't know about you, but I knew immediately it was the safe, and I'm like, no, it can't be. And so I did it. I slammed the door shut, and his first words were, that was it.
That's it.
Did it again. So then, we ran and got Todd, and I forget the other gentleman's name.
Brian.
Brian?
Yeah.
Okay. came back, so we were in the room, and to give you a little bit about how this door was. So we're testing it out, we're slamming it, and all of us are just in awe. And we're like, hopefully we capture this on video or something. Well, as we're doing that, the doors are heavy wood, old glass paneling. They're not easy to open or close. Well, this door had a doorstop that had a hole in the carpet, so it was wedged in there. Right. We're standing there, and all of a sudden the door just slowly and then slammed shut. I've never seen you jump so high in your life. And he yelled and jumped. Yeah. But we spent probably a good 30 minutes trying to debunk it.
Yeah.
And nothing we did. Mm-hmm. We tried loosening the doorstop, then slamming the doors. We tried to do it all, and that door would not shut. So. What do you think?
I mean, and that's the thing. And the whole thing is, typically, you get tapped on the shoulder, you get poked or something like that. It's like, okay, you don't get jumped. But it's weird is that when you get like something that is really physical, I mean, that door just freaked me out because I'm like,
I've never had something like that happen right in front of me.
And I've never had that. It's like you live for it. You see like something fly across the room. I've yet to see that, but it was like the doors closing, and it's like the amazement, but at the same time, like, holy crap, because I was standing within like 2-3 feet of the door.
Yeah.
So
I think the wind I think you said that day that you felt the wind and actually shut.
And I heard, and the thing too is I heard some scratching, and I was looking. I was looking at the door, the actual safe door, the whole time, mm-hmm. and was out of the. When I heard the rustling of the floor, I'm like, well, that's kind of a weird sound, and I was about to like make sure everybody else was hearing this. And so then all of a sudden the door, I saw it move and slam, and that's why I jumped. Yep. You were next to me on my other side.
Well, then the other thing was, and if you remember, I actually walked towards the door, and when I got to the door, I stopped and started shaking and turned around because I felt like I literally walked into something.
Right.
Because I got that electric feeling. I got nauseous, and then like the whole, like I was almost tearing up at that point, and I looked at you guys. I said, I think I just walked into something, and I was like frozen there. Yep. For, I don't know, a good 2 minutes before I finally like forced myself away from it. And I mean that, so, that's that whole series of events. But, for, if you didn't catch the audio, we did clip it. We're going to play it real quick. So let's listen to it. Just press it once. It'll start playing. No? Oh, we got it. That's the front door. I think. Yeah.
What did they say? Jesus, twice.
So, it's that voice in the middle. It's that voice in the middle that got me. The door slamming scared the crap out of me regardless. Right. But the voice in the middle that none of us heard. And, I want to point out, if anyone's saying, oh, that was Adam, that was Joe, I know my voice. Mm-hmm. I've investigated a long time with you, so I know your voice. There was no echo to it. It was just, and the fact that it was so loud, so for me, like Brandy said, well, what did it say? I think it said, what is that? Or, something of that nature. And I believe the female that was right before that, when I said that was the front door, I think she said, no, tell me it wasn't the front door. I don't feel like that it was negative in nature. I don't think that's the negative thing up there. Because, little side note, earlier that day, that whole day I was getting affected. My ankles, my knees. Adam was with me the whole time, and he kept telling me something's following me. Yeah. I believe Gina said that something was following me and trying to play. She called it a jokester. Yeah. It was weird that day for me because I just kept getting touched, and we got things on EVP, directed towards me. But at one point, I was getting really affected, and it was actually during, I believe, Ken Boggle's walkthrough. And I just paused and I said something, and was getting me. And at that point, and if you watched the show last week, kind of brings it back, where Beth was saying that when I was at the Anchorage, she saw a male behind me like this, going to my neck. And it freaked me out because it was the exact same thing and same way he did it. Yeah. And Adam said, it's trying to, because you actually physically moved me over to the
Right.
left. So what happened?
Yeah, because that was, I remember you coming up and you were a little. I could see it in your eyes, and I'm just like, I remember asking, "Are you all right?" And he's just like, "I don't know."
I didn't feel right.
And so then I'm like, I gotta you see a buddy, you see a friend. I mean, you want to help them out. You got to figure things out. So. Immediately the same thing as what Joe was just describing. I remember seeing something right over the top of you, just gripping onto your shoulders and pulling you down, and I'm like, okay, yeah, something's going on here. And so then I was just trying to be like, okay, how can we get him off? And then so that way he's not going to be following him around all night. But it was, I felt weird that was going on with you. I mean, I know you're there a lot, and I think that plays a whole factor in it. They know you.
Well, and it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. The first time you go there, they give you a little tease. And the more time you're there, because I was literally there for a month straight cleaning it.
Yeah.
And there were some days that I physically felt ill after 5 minutes and had to leave on the first floor. And I've always felt like, there was things, I know there was at least one thing that followed me home,
right.
and, Brandy helped me get rid of it. And I've had nightmares about a little girl chasing me around the basement, and it was a continuous dream for days and days and days. So, I mean, that place has taken effect on me. I've built myself up more because I think at that point, and I always say Brandy yells at me for not having protection. So, when I started doing it and started doing more with her and getting more involved with it, then I learned, how to deal with this kind of stuff. But, that freaked me out when you said the shoulder thing, because that really...
And that's sort of what it felt like. I mean,
Yeah.
you do, some people notice it. I mean, nobody ever wants to have an attachment. Nobody ever wants to be completely like taken over. I mean, and I think the longer you're in this field, I think at some point you're going to have some sort of encounter that's similar to that or
I agree.
close to it. So, for him, it was like, wow, sure we're at an event, but that's the thing is it's not like it matters.
It doesn't matter if you're in an event or, it's like me with my job as a police officer. I could be working the road or, if anyone follows me on Facebook, I did not run in the Bacon Run. I just took a picture with the sign, so I do not run. I sit in a car and block traffic. But, those type of events, something could happen at that. Just because it's an event doesn't mean that something bad is not going to happen.
Right.
So, it's the same thing with, doing events as far as, even like Paracons and stuff. You don't know what people are bringing with them,
Right.
With the investigations. But,
Very.
that whole, to recap that whole thing, it started out with catching something on the FLIR, and this was after Gina Marie and Ken Boggle were on that and had to actually leave that hallway because they didn't like it.
Right.
So then we came, so we caught the thing on the FLIR, then we caught, well, no one saw it, but we caught the white energy coming on the screen. Right after that, we got the door slam with the EVP in the middle.
Right.
And then right after that, I got one more for you. We were talking, and this is just an audio clip. I can't tell if it's a breathe, if it's a sigh, but I could tell you that it was none of us whatsoever. So let's listen to it real quick.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
All right, let's play it one more time.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
It everything was just. I've never had so many things happen in unison, but for it to actually make sense, something was getting our attention, something was still getting our attention, and I don't know if it was warning us about the basement, about the first floor, because a lot of things about Eloise, and if you've been there, it baits you. It wants you to go to certain locations, and it like tricks you to go to certain locations. So were we being tricked to go down the first floor and then the door slams shut in front of you? I mean, the mystery is a mystery in its own.
I mean, again, but you think about it, they had to have directed us to go seek out the room, find the one with the door because of how, I mean, to be there at that moment. I mean, I think we, on the four of us that were in there, we joked about it, and we're like,
We were literally laughing for a second.
the one time nobody has a camera,
camera.
because we just went down there just to do a debunk. That was
Yeah.
all it was. And then, like I said, we brought Todd, and then Brian Danhausen came with us, who's another psychic medium, and he was a lot fresher than I was. I was already getting burnt out,
It
for
was
the night.
so everyone knows it was about 120 degrees plus that day.
Yeah, we all lost a lot of weight that day.
I actually had to go sit in my car for a while. I
We
almost
did.
passed out.
We did.
Well, and that, like you said about the camera, the one time out of the whole, because I had my camera with me the whole time because I was trying to video everything because I'm going to eventually do a video for Weird Weekends on it. And, you know, it's just a weird sequence of events.
Yeah.
So, enough talking about Eloise for a minute. I want to go and talk about the old mill in Dundee. Can you tell us just, because we're running out of time, brief history about it?
Yeah, so, you know, just to give you guys an idea, so the old mill was built in 1848, and it was originally a grist mill, and so, you know, they were doing a lot of the grinding up of the buckwheat and flour and that sort of thing. So eventually, you know, over the years, it got, you know, moved around a little bit, and then, you know, one thing that was really popular, where, you know, really got some fame out of it, was Henry Ford bought it out. And Henry, you know, was really big into using, you know, natural sources. And since the old mill is on a river, the River Raisin, he wanted to use that as a means of powering, to turn the old mill into a plant to create welding tips for the vehicles.
Yep.
So, you know, he used the water source. The generator's still there. So if you guys ever come out to either just tour the place on the weekend, you know, for fun, or if you sign up for one of our ghost hunts, or even book a private, you know, you get a chance to check those places out. But Henry was there for a little while, and then eventually sold it to another manufacturer, which was Wolverine. And what they did was they made paper gaskets for part of the engine.
That's
and
cool.
then after that, Wolverine sold it to the Village of Dundee for $1, as long as they kept it in a community service type of thing.
Gotcha.
So, and then they, you know, eventually turned it into a museum, and it basically shows a really great way of life.
A lot of cool artifacts there.
Yes,
I mean,
absolutely.
each room has its own different feel to
Yes.
it, which is cool. So first picture, and I'm going to have you go into the green screen.
Okay.
It's a photo you sent me, so if you could tell us, you know, where it was, you know, what you see, because I see a few things in there. So,
Right. So let me set it up real fast. So basically, a couple of years ago, we had a Tecumseh come out, and they wanted to do a magazine, you know, from Tecumseh wanted to do an article about the old mill, and, you know, just help promote things a little bit that were going on in local, you know, neighborhoods and things. And so we were down there, and one of the things that, for those that don't know, you know, Marie is a female spirit in the basement down there, and a number of years ago, you know, I you know, typically when we're doing public and privates, I don't connect usually because it's not my time. You know, the guests paid to be there, so I just kind of take a step back. But these ladies, they really wanted me to be a part of it, so I said okay. So I opened up, and sure enough, you know, what ended up happening was that Marie, once she got familiar with me, she would always come over and grab onto my left arm. And how I would know it, even if I didn't even tap into her, I would know she's there because it would feel like an ice pack is on your arm. And I'm not kidding, you take an ice pack and put it right in her arm, that's how cold it would get. And when I felt that, I knew she was there, and then I could tap in and talk to her. So I was describing this to the newspaper, the one that was writing the article, and their photographer. And so what ends up happening is I said, okay, she's on me right now. So they take a picture, and one that, you know, they deleted, but they took one, well, they had a lens flare. So there's a light that you can kind of see over my head back there. Well, that shot a huge ray of light, and I said, take 2 steps to your left. So here she is, she moves that way. So she took the shot, and all of a sudden she was like, I saw her look weird at the preview screen, and so I said, well, take another one. She took another one. Finally, she moves over, and as she's like, there's something strange on you. So come to find out, everybody goes huddling behind her, and they're like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, well, okay, and I'm staying. I'm not moving from this position. Finally, they said, you got something on your left arm. I said, really? And so they're describing it. There's like this green circular orb-looking thing on your arm. And I was like, well, that's her, because she was still holding on to me. So she's holding on to me, and it's right in that area. So I'm talking to her, you know, I'm thanking her for, you know, because Marie doesn't like to be, you know, if she's going to do something, it's so quick. Like, she'll hit one, like an EMF, she'll spike it just once and then go away. Or if you got a geophone out, she'll make one vibration, and then that's it.
well, it's kind of funny. Let's switch spot. It's kind of funny that you say that, because you know, I had I'm sure you saw Christopher Brew was on. He's gotten tons of, you know, the green and the purple, and this is the first time I've seen it, you know, elsewhere. But we were just in the basement. No, so I wasn't with you for this. I wasn't with Adam for this thing. However, I was with you in the basement when you were telling me about it, because I was like, can you come down with me so we can, I want to try to capture something on the FLIR or the SLS. And I could see you were in your moment, which was cool, you know, and all of a sudden I'm just sitting there, I'm watching it, I'm like, all right. And then we're gonna play the video here. Oh, green screen. All right, it's Tim's first time today. He's learning as he goes. There we go. All right, so this is interesting. So it just happened. It's going to go slow, but it's going to go in a loop, so you'll be able to see it over and over. So this is where the elevator shaft is, I believe.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
So you'll see it in his. I believe right before this, you said she's here with us.
Right.
And it literally shoots down, and you'll see it here. Boom, very quick. So then we'll do a slow-mo of it, where even the slow-mo, it's kind of hard to see, but it just shoots right down. So then we're going to go to a still picture of it. This is the best still I could get of it. And what's interesting about it is, I mean, again, there's no consistency to this whatsoever. It's, you know, it's just a piece of energy shooting out. It's not a bug. It's not a, you know, solar flare. We're in a basement, obviously. But if you really look on it, you can actually see behind it. You know, like right here, there's actual, you know, pieces of the elevator heat coming out. You know, same over here. But then you go closer up there, it's all purple, and you can tell it's you know, the color behind it still. So the energy is drawing down. So what do you think?
Absolutely. I mean, there's no doubt about it, because again, like I said, you know, Marie, you know, typically, you know, she's quick, and it's always one little thing that she does. And so it's interesting that Joe was able to get that, because I remember when he said, "Hey, I think I got something," I was like, you know, that's about as fast as what she usually does. She does it real quick. She just in and out, whether it's visually or touching a piece of gear, and then she's done. And then you really won't get anything else for the rest of the night. You know, for us mediums, you'd be able to chat with her a little bit more, but as far as physical evidence, she's really picky about when and where she does it. So, yeah.
So, Brandy actually asked, and she wants to know, she keeps getting Quakers.
I've never gotten anything about Quakers and things like that. I mean, you know, we could go in real deep, but I know we're out of time. But
yeah.
But Brandy, we can always talk about. I can give you some more information as to what Maria's been able to tell me over the years, and then you could see. You know, I'm really careful about the questions that I do ask her, because I'm trying to see how far I can take this without.
Absolutely.
You know, offending her or sending her away, because she's been so good over the years that, you know, I'm really trying something different instead of just going right for the hardcore questions. I'm really trying to establish a friendship. And that's why most people that come over, if you ever see, you know, see me doing the tour and stuff, I always say that she's my girlfriend, because that's what
I think
everybody
someone
labels
actually
it
put
as.
that in the chat somewhere.
Yeah.
I thought I saw it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Adam, tell everyone that she is your girlfriend.
Yeah,
That's your dad.
Yeah, that's it. So, and that's what people do, and it's fun. But you know, but she always shows up, and it's funny. She does get mad at me when I'm not there for a while. So if I'm gone for a few months, she plays the like you know kind of thing, and she won't come over and grab my arm right away. She'll wait until I come down like a second or third time before she. So. She could be testy. So.
She's got you wrapped up.
Does.
That's what she does. So, you know, Adam, we're almost out of time. Thank you so much. I hope you had a good time. I mean, this is some of the best evidence I think I've captured. I mean,
Absolutely.
It's in the sequence of events. If you did like it, hey, thank you. We're going to put the show back on Facebook, YouTube. So if you want to review the evidence and scroll through and really dissect it, please do. If you capture anything else, you know, let me know. So I want to thank everyone for tuning in and watching today's show. If you liked what you saw, like I just said, let me know. You can send me a message on any of our social media platforms. Real quick, a few announcements before I wrap up the show. We have some exciting shows coming up that you don't want to miss. The next show will be with Randy and Angel from Mystic Chats. The show will actually be not in 2 weeks. It will be next Wednesday, because I go from night shift to day shift, so I can start doing shows more. However, it's going to be at 9 p.m., not 8 p.m., because I won't be home in time. Brandy will actually be in studio with me. We're going to be going over some more evidence. If you like this format, come on back. Tell everyone about it. I would love you to see what we have in store next week. After that, we have some great guests lined up. So we have Austin Menard, Donnie Irvine, Lindsey Bannon, and a few more. We also have a surprise Halloween show that will be a lot of fun. I'm not going to give away the details because it's kind of a surprise. So quick announcement, other than what the other one I just had. To all my viewers, are you part of a paranormal team or know someone who is that's caught some kind of amazing piece of evidence that they're dying to show the world? So what I'm doing is I'm looking for about 2 teams that want to discuss their evidence and come on via Skype to the show. From there, we'll have a chance to talk about the evidence, have some expert opinions about the evidence, and be interactive with anyone that's watching. So if you know anyone that's interested in doing that, tell them about it. Tell them to shoot me a message. Let me know. We'll review the evidence, and we'll get some groups on. I'm also going to be going to a few events in the next few months. The first event will actually be with Brandy and Angel. It's at the historic... I hope I'm saying this right, because I was just invited a few days ago. Alglaze Village Whispers of the Past Public Ghost Hunt. It's going to be an awesome 2-night event. 12 buildings, 1 property, 2 nights. The event is October 4th and 5th. It's in Defiance, Ohio. So if you're interested in participating or coming to that event, you can go to Facebook and search Whispers of the Past Public Ghost Hunt. The next event after that, I'm going to be with the Weird Weekends crew at the 101 Parrot Cafe. This one is going to be with the Southern Gypsies and Brian Danhausen. It'll be November 1st through 3rd, and it's located in Winchester, Indiana. For more information, you can go to the Weird Weekends Facebook page. I'm going to be on a talk show next Monday with Mike Simpson. So if you search Mike Simpson on Facebook, we're going to be on this upcoming Monday at 7 p.m. From there, I was invited to join Jay Lynch on Stirring the Pot. So if you watched the last episode, this show, like he said, is no filter. So anything goes. So if you want to have a good time, go ahead and tune in for that. So thank you again for watching. We'll see you same place next Wednesday, August 28th at 9 p.m. Till then, stay safe. Have a good weekend. Adam, thank you for coming on.
Thank you, Joe.
And we'll see you guys soon. Thank you.